All right, there we go. It's finally working. I couldn't get the software to work. It was like not recording, but it's recording now. So welcome to my channel podcast. I don't know what this will take on, but just wanted to talk, like get a topic and just talk about it and see where that goes for like however amount of time. Cause like I like doing this a lot with my friends and family and whatnot, just people, and it's very like I don't know, it's very rewarding. It's one of the things I really like doing in life. Um, so I figured doing it on here would just be kind of just natural because I do want to make more. I've wanted to make a podcast for a while and do YouTube videos. I have done and YouTube videos and whatnot, and like I wanted to get more back into this space. A lot more free time now. Well, hopefully, should have a lot more free time depending on how much work wants to kill me. But I thought this would just be kind of fun, and it's always like I think that when you just get onto a loose topic and you just ramble, it helps to kind of like help you realize some stuff. Like there's a lot of times that I'll be talking and saying something and I'll just realize like that I believe or that it's just like easier to connect the dots. I don't know, it's just fun. I just enjoy doing it. And I wrote down like some, let's see, what did I write down? It's like some like loose topics and whatnot. As to what I want to cover in this video. And something that really, I don't want to say bugs me, but has been something on my mind for many months now. In particular, since I believe it was June or so. It was the end of June. I had an experience that kind of really made me question a lot of things in ways that I haven't before, in ways that it has not made me before. And it was something that is really stuck with me, and nothing has really stuck with me after something like that. For as long as these questions that just pop in my head, and I think it's because I'm not really sure, and I don't know if these are things that can be answered. I think it's just it's those things that's kind of like personal in terms of what is true. Like the trueness of it depends on your perspective of the world and whatnot. I don't think there's an objective answer. I don't think there's an objective answer to a lot of things, because in this world, perspective is by far the most important and powerful tool. I would say tool. In our arsenal as humans, perspective makes everything make sense. Well, not everything, but most things. And I'm sure that we all have, like, if we think about something that someone has done, and we're just like, why did they do that? But it's a lot easier to understand why, even if you don't like the behavior, still don't agree with it. I think that understanding why people do certain things and do what they do helps understand a lot of things and helps make things that seem malicious maybe to you from your perspective is not at all how it was intended. And for me, I don't know, intent is something that's very important. Like, if I say something that's mean, I'll apologize for it coming off as mean, but I don't think at my core I should apologize for saying it, because I didn't mean it that way. Ultimately, the person took it that way. And I definitely think you should apologize if you do something crappy to someone or someone gets upset. Like, I'm not saying that by any means, but I am saying that I don't think that if you do something that someone else considers bad, I don't know if you're necessarily a bad person or if it was an objectively bad thing. Because from your perspective, it could totally make perfect sense. I mean, there's so many things that would be excused that people would get mad for. A large number of reasons that I see people fight or argue or dislike each other is just from a misunderstanding of a lack of empathy and a lack of just putting yourself into someone else's shoes and understanding why they did what they did. I mean, there are certain people in this world that their voice is just kind of just the way they say things comes off kind of condescending, and that's not okay. But it isn't make them a condescending person, or doesn't make them a condescending person, and it isn't like you shouldn't get upset with them because they're being condescending. You should get upset with them because they're coming off as condescending. And if you've never told them, or no one, if it's someone that's like recurring in your life and you've never told them or anything, I don't know if it's necessarily fair to like dislike them or even hold it against them if they are unaware. There's so many behavioral patterns that we ourselves are not aware that we do, and until someone points it out, even if it may seem like just common sense, like how do we not know that he's doing something? You gotta tell them. You have to let them know, which again, is not always an easy thing. Otherwise, how do you expect them to change? How do you expect them to like fix their issues if they don't even know that it's happening? And the only way to know that it's not they don't know is if you tell them. Even if you think, oh, someone else has to have told them, you gotta take the initiative and tell them, because very likely most people in their lives say the exact same thing. Well, I'm sure someone has told them, but they haven't, and so the cycle just continues. It's a gross cycle. It's crazy. I have on my little bulleted list just is it a cycle on there, which we'll discuss a little bit later. But that's in relation to something completely different. It's just weird how everything kind of ties together. But the first kind of thing that is on my list is what really makes us human. This is what I was talking about earlier with the question that's really bugged me. Is this one in particular is the main one, and there's a bunch of ones that obviously stem from them. I mean, it's a very open-ended and large question. But what makes us human? And I'm not really sure exactly what makes us human. And that's really, I think, not my goal. I don't know what else to say. I just say my goal for right now. My goal in life is to kind of understand this one a lot more. What makes us human? Because for me, just a little bit of background, because I'm not going to go too much into me personally, because I don't think and I don't want this to be a personality driven. I want this to be a content driven. In terms of, I'd like to be a personality in terms of the way I talk about things and what I talk about, but not me myself, who I am. Well, the things in my life that make me me. I want to keep it kind of self-contained. I'm sure, as a lot of things that I'm going to discuss in this series, podcast, whatever, are going to be deeply personal, and some things I'll have to like say, and I'm sure guests that I have, because I do plan on it not just always being me. I want to film the conversations that like I said earlier, like I do this with my friends. Like we'll talk for a while, we'll bounce things back and forth, and I think that is a lot more productive than just doing it myself. But I think these are more almost lectures. I don't want to say lectures because I'm not at all. I didn't go to college. Like I can't do college. I just got my high school GED. Like I wasn't a good student. Like I was B average student. I don't want to put myself out there as this intellectual person that has all the answers or has any answers at all. I don't claim to have any answers at all. I have no answers at all. The more I experience, the more I question it. And I don't just mean in terms of psychedelics. I just mean in terms of in general, especially psychedelics, obviously. But in just general more experience, general life experience, I feel like I just have more questions than answered. But I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing. Because it gives you questioning. If I had all the answers, if anyone had all the answers, it would be really boring. It would be really boring to live. And I won't say I'm in the best place mentally at all, and I don't necessarily enjoy living, but I think that if there wasn't anything to question in the world, I think that there would be almost no point to living. Because if you had all the answers, if we knew everything, there was no mystery, nothing, what excites you then? What makes you get out of bed? I get out of bed at this point, one, for my cat, because I absolutely love my cat. His name is Clay. And as well as just to kind of figure it out. I want to figure this out. I want to know what's up. And I know that I never will, but I don't. I mean, it's cliche, but the journey, not the destination. Um, I believe in death. That we'll figure it out somehow. And somehow, dying will bring the answers that I'm kind of seeking, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. In fact, I'm absolutely positive there are millions of people out there that are exactly like me. Not exactly, but you know what I mean by in just terms of questioning, wanting to know. Uh, as well, I didn't really do school. I can't do school. It's not how I learn. I learn a lot more on hands on. I don't know, but I am so sorry. I have absolutely no idea what I was going with that. My brain completely just said nah. Um. Oh, but I love knowledge. I don't. But it's just like school is weird. I'm not really sure how to reconcile that. I wish I could do school more. Like I love the idea of school. It's just school itself is just a no. If there was a lot more hands-on, I just like at working. I've learned so much more working in terms of like things that I would have been taught in a classroom if I had taken. I work in the restaurant industry. If I had taken like a foods class or something, I'm sure that learning on hands all the policies and the laws and whatnot, I will have retained the information a lot more than if I had just sat in a foods classroom and listened or read a textbook or whatever. Um, but I just love knowledge and I love learning and I love knowing in terms of like an egotistical way, but just knowing in terms of a sweet. I've had a question for a while and now I have its answer, and that's satisfying. Um, what makes us human, though? I'm not really sure. I think that biologically, I think there's a pretty strict profile in terms of what human is, right? It's a Homo sapien, I suppose. But to me, human is a label. Homo sapien would be like our species in the same way that I don't know. I won't pretend to know any of the scientific names of other animals, but whatever the scientific name for an animal is, and a dog, I think those are definitely probably different terms. They're kind of separated, right? So biologically, yes, Homo sapiens, that's what makes us human. But that's not what I'm talking about. You always hear people saying like, and if you see me looking, I have a window, and there's trees like right there, yeah, and there's trees. I like to look out. There's a road. There's cars always going by, so sometimes it'll catch my eye. Because you listening, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do like a audio only version of this too or something. So for those of you listening, it doesn't really matter. um, but I think like you always hear people saying how that is what human is what being you're human or humanity or whatever, and I don't know if those terms are separate from being human. Are those that are inhumane, like the notorious, Stalin, Hitler, those kind of people, are they humans in the same way that normal, with air quotes, is human? I don't know whose call that is to say. I think objectively, you'll never ever have a real answer, a true answer. I think that subjectively, sure, maybe, and I think that they were probably on a different plane of existence than me. I don't know if someone's brain who can concoct something as evil as those people, I don't know if I would be able to do that as intricately. Like, I've never certainly tried because it kind of makes my stomach like tighten up. It's kind of gross to think about like orchestrating something like that. Like, how would I do that? And I don't know if it's that the difference between someone like me and someone like Stalin or someone like the inability to craft something as gross as that. So then, if that's true, that begs the question: well, is humanity in our heads? Like, in terms of, is it thoughts? Is it the way we think that make us human? The patterns, the way that we think. Is that how we are human? Is that what makes us human? And I think that's certainly a good argument because at least and biologically too. I mean, it's very likely that we are the only ones that think in the way that we do with language and whatnot. Like, other animals likely have thoughts for sure, um, but it's probably not like a cat meowing in his thoughts. It's very likely um, pictures and thoughts, images, and whatnot, but not like language like us. Like, we'll have thoughts that are pure language and it's odd. It's really weird to think about. But is that what separates us? What separates us? Is there a separation? I don't think so. I don't think the humans are much better than any other animals at all. Not in the slightest. They're worse than most, to be honest with you. But I definitely think humanity and being a human is something special, just like being a cat would be special, but it's something different, and it's our thing. And it's our thing to analyze. I'm sure if a cat, who knows if a cat is introspective in the same way we are? Who knows if they have these kind of conversations or try and work this kind of stuff out in their own heads, but because of the lack of being able to communicate with us, for us to understand, like, then so we'll just never know, and we'll likely never know that answer to that question. I don't know if there's any way to translate like cat thoughts or dog thoughts or excuse me anything into like our language and something that we can understand, but it's an interesting thing to think about. Is it like, see, this is the question that baffles me, because is it our actions that make us human? Because then there's a lot of different kinds of things out there. Like, what are all the labels for not humans and whatnot is? So that just is kind of a slippery slope. So I hesitate to go that far, but I definitely think it's a lot in our heads. I think, because a lot of what makes us, gives us the ability to terraform the entire world in the way we have, and maybe that's the wrong word for it, but just build up the world and make it what we wanted it, or it's convenient to us. I mean, certainly society is a lot more convenient than not society. We live in a society, but I don't know. It's definitely our thoughts, and the above average intelligence, is that able to actually be assessed properly, though? The supposed above average, like, intelligence is definitely something that sets us apart, and it gives us the ability to make these buildings, make these cities, and form a society in the way we have, because while animals do form societies, they're not on the same level as us, not even close. So, but is that instinctual? Maybe. And I think that's certainly a good argument there, because I mean, it's instinctual for a lot of mammals to stay with their young until they're old enough to, and wise enough and strong enough to stand on their own and defend themselves and whatnot, not just immediately die in the wild, or at least the way that their parents perceive that to be. Because certainly, I'm sure lots of animals that their parents think they're ready and then they just die like 3 steps away from wherever their house is or whatever. However, animals, design that. But I'm just talking in general here, and I don't know. You don't hear me say that a lot. I don't know, because there's a lot that I don't know, and I won't pretend to know, and it's scary in a way, but I'm really glad that I don't know. Like I said earlier, it would be really boring. There would be nothing to really question if you knew, but not knowing is a lot more comforting in a lot of ways. Not knowing certain things. I mean, stuff like of this nature, maybe it doesn't matter either way, but stuff like what is after death, and like even like stuff like what is actually going on in the government, behind closed doors, what is like I've had friends who are friends of people in the government or whatever, like in military agencies, like cyber terrorism, that kind of stuff, and like I'm told that they have told my friend, like the mutual friends or whatever, that like, if you knew how many like terrorist attacks or like devastating attacks that we knew about and we stopped because of all these programs or whatnot that we have in place, and because of the crazy surveillance and whatnot, like, it would keep you up at night. And I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if I want to know that's true or not. Because that's terrifying. I mean, think if we truly are that close to disaster at any given moment, then that's a terrifying thought. But it seems a little far fetched for me. But there's 9 billion people in the world. I mean, in order to create a substantial threat every single even hour for 24/7, 365, 366 in some years, it would be not a lot of people compared to the amount I mean, it's just not compared to the total population. It's not far fetched when you think about it in that way, in that perspective. Um, so I think to summarize this kind of point, I think that I'm leaning towards more the separation between humans and what being a human is the thought processes and whatnot. But I don't know if I can say that someone who I wouldn't generally consider humane is human in the same way I am human. I don't know how I feel about that, because I don't know how I feel about labeling people in certain ways and whatnot, because I don't know if it's necessarily fair to label anyone without truly knowing them, and I don't know if you can ever truly know someone. I'll never be able to know what's in someone's head. I'll be able to know that I think that they act pretty similar to how they probably actually are, but we'll never have that confirmation until we have like technology that can read minds or whatever, which would be very interesting, but I don't know if that's ever even possible. In terms of like just like a text to speech, like what your thoughts are or whatever, or like being able to pull out like memories, like isn't that just a really abstract thing? It would be very interesting to see if that can be translated into like a physical embodiment. And if it is, how accurate it is to what is in your head. What is the electricity, like whatever that's going on that makes that thought? What is the difference between how you view that and how it would show up on a screen? Could you pull that out of your brain and throw it up there? I don't know if it would be the same because I mean, it's the same classic, well, is my red the same as your red? We all know this is red, but is it the same? Couldn't No, couldn't possibly know. I err on the side of they're probably not the same, because it seems unlikely that our minds process things like that in a similar way. The only real thing that kind of gets me about that, which isn't even like a really hard argument against it, is like the fact that um, things go together well for everyone who has like a fashion sense or whatever. If you know what I mean, like a house will generally be designed in terms of color. People will say like, yeah, that was a well designed palette or whatever, like a color palette. And those are generally all the same. Like there isn't a huge discrepancy in that. But I mean, it could just be that your red and my and your red and blue and my red and blue, while not different, still they go together just because of nature. Colors are a weird thing, because why are they like? They're so important for something that's just the lack, or it's like you know how I'm not gonna go into how colors exist and whatnot, but like it's just kind of weird colors because they're a little abstract, but they're really not abstract. They're very physical. It's odd. It's real odd. And I think I would have to think more about this in order to have more comprehensive thoughts about it, because like just trying to think about it, just something to say, and just like this is real weird. I don't know, man. Like what? um, but I don't know. It gives me a little bit of chills just thinking about the world. It's so intricate and so weird and just odd, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I like it, but I don't know how to feel about it. You know. Who are we? That's the next one I have on my list, is who are we as a human race? I think right now, overall, we're a murdering, lack of morality kind of species, but I know that's not everyone. I know that's just kind of how the governments are going right now and whatnot, and it sucks, and it's weird, and I don't like it, because I don't like violence, and I don't like hatred. But I think that who we are as humans is a little bit deeper than that. It's a little bit deeper than what we're doing right now, because I think like this question kind of begs what the deeper purpose of it, what's the point? And that's a good question, of course, but I think they are a little bit different in terms of like what's our purpose is kind of suggesting that we're going somewhere, we're leading somewhere, but I don't think that's true because humanity, as far as I know, does not have a set start point. It's just a slow evolution, and then we don't have a set end point too. Like, when are we gonna stop being Homo sapiens biologically? Will it happen like in a way that we'll be able to actually assess, or will it take, we look back on 100 years and go, wow, those humans were probably, or not even 100, I think that's way too close, maybe 1,000 years, and be like, wow, those humans were kind of different than us. Like, I don't know when we went from, or I know we're still like calling ourselves Homo sapiens, but like, I don't know when to say it, but we definitely are not that now. It's weird to think about, and I don't know if that, I think that's probably going to end up being how that goes down. But who we are is, I really believe that humans are good inside, and I really do believe that there is goodness in everyone, and at least to start, I think it can definitely get beat out of them. That's another thing too, is like perspective. It's like, well, the villain of your movie, regardless, and I don't mean an actual movie, I just mean like in your life. Your life is your movie. The villain of your movie, the villain of like any big movie like Hitler or whatever, Stalin. I like to go to those because they're just the notable evil men that have existed. I don't know where I was going with that. But who we are is we're good. Even in those evil people, I still believe that there is good. And I don't know. It's weird to think about the fact that something like that can exist without good. This is not something I can relate to. I don't think it's something a lot of people can relate to, and I sure as hell hope that they can't, because that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. But what are we trying to achieve? Humans are just trying to evolve in terms of technology now, which I think is kind of dangerous, for reasons of AI, among other things. I think it gets a little bit dangerous when you start talking about microchipping humans and whatnot. I don't really subscribe to all that. I like Google Glass and the Apple Watches. Like, the ideas of those are great. That's definitely how we should augment ourselves rather than physically implanting something in us. But then again, don't we already with IUDs? That's what they're called, right? IUD. Yeah. This UTI is the one that I was like, wait a second. This is a urinary tract infection. Is not what I just said, right? Yeah. So they already go into your skin. I mean, there's people I know that have it right into their arm, and I don't know what the difference between that and a microchip is. I mean, if we had the technology to, we could definitely just release chemicals in those thingies that control us or whatever, like change our behavior or somehow, and they probably do. Let's be real here, but not on a much more extreme scale than I believe that like chips would or whatnot. But that being said, I'm not really sure how to wrap up this point, because who we are is, I won't pretend to know or have any idea. I don't even know how to get to the conclusion of that, but or anything even close to a conclusion. Like, it's sorry, my headphones went out. I just wanted to make sure that the microphone wasn't going out itself. I don't know really what in the world we are. Who are we? Probably good people in the end. Or at the start, not the end. In the end, we might be bad people. In the start, we're decent people that are just trying to change the world. But I think that's a little bit dangerous. And I don't think that's good. I think we're trying to change ourselves, which isn't good. I think that's who we are. I think that who we are, at least the most definitive way I can say this, is a species who wants to overcome nature and take it into our own hands. Regardless of if they're a good person or a bad person, get rid of morality out of that. I think that's who we are as a people. Everyone has that desire. Everyone has that desire to improve. Generally, of course. I mean, if you're depressed or whatever and you hate yourself, like, you're probably not. But even when you hate yourself, when you're depressed, you probably want to improve. You want to be better, but you just don't have the motivation to. But you still want that. It's still an integral part of almost everyone, is the need to be better and to get better. And I think that is probably the closest thing to who we are. Where are we going? And I don't mean physically, of course. I mean, what's the point? When are we going to stop? What is humanity trying to go towards something? Like, we just keep improving. We keep creating better technology. I mean, the newest iPhone, the newest blah, 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 better robots, more advanced AI. I mean, they've had to shut down AIs because they're getting a little strange, creating their own language. That's crazy. I don't know, dude. Where are we going is probably not good. I think that's it. And there's the next point I have is, where's the end? So I think these kind of go together. The end is probably with the destruction of humanity. Not probably. I mean, that is the end, but I think it's going to be a self-brought thing, but I don't think it's going to. I think it will likely be technology that kills us, if not from literally the government just committing genocide for some reason or the other. I don't rule that out at all, especially if, like, we had chipped. I mean, they could kill us all instantly. I mean, those things explode, we're dead. Especially considering, like, depending on where they are. If they're in your foot, maybe not. But, I mean, they could just have oh yeah, like, this is the most powerful poison in the world, like, put a tiny bit in there on a button. There's a button in the White House or wherever. You press that button, everyone dies instantly. Now, I don't think that it would be our people that do that to ourselves, maybe, but it would definitely be like a foreign government. I mean, being able to take out the population of an entire country instantly would be crazy. And I think that any country would want that. And if it's technology, it's hackable, no matter how hard. So, it's a scary thought. But even if it's not that, I don't know. We're just going to either use up all the resources and then go to another planet and use up all their resources, or if we even make it to another planet before then. I don't know, but it's not good. Where we are going is not good. It's going to be a constant improvement, which it just feeds these cycles of never letting up, of always being better, of always getting better, of always wanting to be better, wanting everything to be faster, more efficient, more in general. And I think that is, it's like, it's an exponential, holy crap. It's an exponential growth. Why is it so much easier to say something after you frick it up like 3 times? And you just say something and just be fine. And it's an exponential growth. Oh my freaking gosh. You know what I said. And I think that is inherently unsustainable, considering that there is natural resources that do not come back, at least for like thousands of years, the non-renewable resources. And I think that we should have probably assessed how much is left and then, like, divvied it up to make sure we didn't go out of it. Like, 'cause that's a yikes. I mean, if we run out of fuel, everyone needs their car to go to work. I mean, your work is 30 minutes away. You are SOL if you don't have a car. And then you need that car to make your money, to pay for the car, pay for another car. Should you not have a car, it's just an issue. And then ties into it's the second to last point here of everything being a cycle. When humans ultimately kill ourselves as a species, are we just gonna start back over? Maybe not as humans, but whatever is left, will it start back over and do the exact same thing? Have a slow rise of power and then a huge technological outburst for about, I predict this technology growth, this crazy technology growth to continue on at this exponential rate for probably about another 150 to 200 years. And then one of two things are going to happen at that point. Either we achieve immortality through the use of technology, and not immortality in terms of like the way jellyfish are immortal, where they can't biologically die, but they can if something kills them. Like, I don't believe that we will ever just be able to be stabbed through the heart and not die. Or I don't believe that, not at all. But I do believe that we will somehow be able to augment ourselves, or our medicine will be good enough to keep us healthy and alive for long times, potentially ever. And whatever is left when that happens, either that's going to happen at 200 years, or will either die off instantly because of an AI taking over the world. Because you gotta think, once that AI can take over the world, like when the AI has the potential to take over the world, and it gets to that point, it's going to be thinking and multiplying and improving itself so fast that we will not be able to catch up, and it could very likely take over every single computer in the world in an hour, maybe less, depending on certain factors. You know what I mean? It'll just bounce through it all and take everything over instantly. So we won't have long for that once that happens. And that's an issue. So either that's going to happen 200 years, or we'll become immortal, or it'll be a slow descent. But I do believe that 150 to 200 years is when it's going to stop in this way. And then whatever's left, the pure destruction of humanity. If it goes if it goes to two of the three ways that were destruction, which I don't know. I think immortality would be destruction in a different way. Then once everything's dead, like a phoenix from the ashes, whatever's left over will come back over to take over the world. Because there will always be I think from this point on, now that humans are where we are, there will always be a dominant species in this way that just takes over the world, makes it their own, and gives little sects of it to other, animals or whatever. But mainly it's one kind of animals world. And I don't think that should be like that at all, but I think it's hard to argue it's not like that. I think that the next species will do the exact same thing, because when you have such a power and when you have such like control over the environment and over technology and whatever, you just want more. You want to create more tools that help you do more stuff, more efficient, more and more and more. And I don't know, this is another thing that brings me back to like what makes us human and who we are. Like if we are if who we are is just wanting to be better, then what separates us from another species that I'm sure is the exact same way or will be in the future? Is it specific to us, or is it just kind of what happens when you get power? Does power make you want more power, or keep the power, or keep going? Is it a cycle in that way? I don't know. It's weird. Probably. I don't know. I won't say probably. I think that I don't know. That's where I'm gonna leave those three points. It's a nice little wrap up of, oh boy, I don't know, but it's not good. That's where we're going, and the end is with our destruction of some way or the other. Because if we become these immortal being, I don't know if that makes us human anymore. I don't know if we're human if we no longer have to do the basic necessities of eat, drink, water. Wait, eat, drink, sleep is what I meant to say. I don't know. I don't know if that makes us human anymore. But I don't know if, I'm not ruling it out, of course, at all. I'm just saying I don't know if that's where we would separate it. I think it's possible, but without like truly empathizing with that kind of existence of never having to relate to it. You can take a stimulant and stay up all night, but that's not really, you can't really understand what it's like to do that every day, all day. Because like so much of our life revolves around when we're going to sleep, where we're going to sleep. That's the reason we have homes, really. And what we're going to eat, making dinner, going to the store. Like so much of our life revolves around these basic necessities. If we take them away, who are we? Are we still the same? And I think it depends a lot on what we do with the extra free time, extra money, or whatnot. Because I don't really think like we could drive ourselves to evolution of past that. But I don't know if that itself will change us from being a human. I'm not really sure. Oh boy. So my last bullet point is, and it's a little bit less related to the other topics, but consciousness itself. What is it? Where does it come from? Is this a radio signal? Are these vessels? Is consciousness like projecting from one single source, or is it inside of ourselves physically? Whatever consciousness is it just these electrical currents going through my brain? Is it, what is it? And I don't have too much to say on this because who the heck knows? Who the heck would ever claim to know? Anyone who claims to know is an ignorant, stupid idiot, for lack of a better term. Because it's just impossible to know. You never will. And I don't think that I think that knowing would be a lot more dangerous than not knowing. Because if we knew, like, I think people would just kill themselves. And I think that there's definitely a reason that we are here. I don't think it's like deep, like, oh, humanity's meant to do X. I think it's more just like kind of see what happens kind of thing. But I think that's still a purpose. I think that's definitely a fair purpose. Of just like, I believe we're in a simulation. I don't know how you can really argue that we're not, given just, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say that we're not in a simulation, but it's hard to say we are. I will admit that. So it's just kind of a weird situation of, I don't know. What is this? Is this all fake? I mean, what is reality? It's the same kind of thing as the colors, like, is your red my red? Is your reality my reality? Is any of this real? I mean, it feels real, but when you're in a dream, everything feels pretty real overall, right? So what's the difference between this and a dreamscape? I mean, we don't know, and I don't know how to measure what the laws of science are in the dream world or anything like that, but they have to exist, right? There has to be rules in this dream world. There has to be rules to every world, no matter how abstract, no matter what can happen. If magic can happen, I mean, there's got to be rules in the real world for what is and what isn't can happen. You know, I hope I'm explaining that correctly, because I'm not really sure how to explain that, because it's a very abstract concept, and I'm not going to claim to be something I'm not. I'm not the best with words and explaining things already, and a lot of this stuff, I will say, a lot of what I will talk about is realizations and connecting the dots that I've had while on psychedelic trips, and just that itself, on top of just me being a bumbling idiot. It's hard to say certain things, like, and bring back that and explain it in this reality, and not reality, but in this, like, existence. One of these days I'll probably do one of these while under the influence of one, just to kind of see what happens. But I don't know if I'm going to be the best at explaining things that I bring back from those experiences, just because it's hard, difficult. I mean, ask anyone what it's like and they'll have a really hard time to explain it. It'll probably be something like, it's crazy, there's a lot of energy, depending on which you're describing. There's a lot of energy, and things are moving around, and things feel like they're breathing, and beyond that kind of description, it's hard to say anything more, because usually people are just like, I know it's weird, and like it just changes the way you think, like, you just have to do it. You just have to do it, you know? And there's a reason that that description is just extremely common and one of the only really ones. I mean, almost every description of when you ask someone, or when someone asks you that's never done something like that before, what it's like. I mean, it's hard to say anything other than it's crazy and just you gotta try it. You just gotta try it. I don't know. I think that's a good way to end it. I don't know. Neither do you. But let's talk about it, you know? I'd love to hear any thoughts on anything I discussed today in the comments, or you can email me. My email is on the description. I'm not exactly sure where this is going. That's why I'm being a little bit vague, like exactly where I'm going to post this to. But I know I'm going to post it, and I will see you guys. Not see you guys. That's sexist. I was talk to you. How about that? Another juncture. I hate myself. That's not what I should say at all. I will talk to you guys next time. I don't know how I feel about that one either, but that's how so many people end their things. But I'm just gonna end it because maybe one day I'll know how to end it, but today's not that day.